Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is going to be like the shortest to back or not to back we've ever really done. I may not even call it to back or not to back. I may just call it updates? I don't know. We'll figure this out. So here's where we are. There weren't a lot of new campaigns this week, and to that end, instead of our usual to back or not to back, I'm doing a video on all the upcoming Kickstarters for September and GameFound. Kickstarter and GameFound for September. That's going to be going up Monday as our usual to back or not to back. This particular video is probably going up Sunday. It might be Patreon exclusive, it might go up later, I don't know for sure. I'll go through the video and do it all and figure it out from there. But I figured that there were a few campaigns that are ending in the next, well, day or two, so I wanted to talk with them briefly, just go over brief updates, things like that, because I haven't had a chance to cover them, and I'm not doing it haven't had a chance to update them, and I'm not doing it to back or not to back. So with that, all that said, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. I'm not really focusing on value here, I'm just doing a bit of updates, covering what's going on, and then also briefly talking about what's upcoming and all of that. So let's go ahead and go on into it, starting with Edge of Darkness, Emissaries of the Vale. So I talked about this one already. This is going to be Commands. Well, you know, they're not like. Well, geez. This is going to be AEG, not Command. This is going to be AEG's card crafting game from John D. Clare, the precursor to Dead Reckoning. I don't know why I called it the precursor. It's one of their card crafting games in the middle, after Custom Heroes, after Mystic Vale, and then we have Edge of Darkness, and then Dead Reckoning. Dead Reckoning, by the way, is going to be getting a Kickstarter in 2022, another Kickstarter, so if you missed that, you'll have a chance to get in on that, which you'll want to do because you'll see your friends who have played it and have loved it. But that said, if you don't want to jump into that, we have Edge of Darkness. I talked about this last week. The short version here is this is going to be a giant box of game and expansions for a whole lot of table space for their card crafting game. This is one that is generally well liked by the subset of people who have it. This is not one with a ton of major audience reviews or whatever it is. It's well liked. It has a passionate audience, but a smaller passionate audience. And this is one where they have a great all-in pledge. If you want to jump in on it, they have a great all-in pledge that's going to be giving you a solid value, $189, very well discounted off the usual stuff. Obviously, it's a lot of content for a game you've never really played, so you kind of have to decide, is that enough to tempt you into this experience? For myself, you know those posts where people post things like, convince me to get this game, and you're like, dude, why am I convincing you to get the game? If you don't want the game, don't get the game. That said, convince me to get this game, please, or don't. It's better not to, actually. I know Broken Meeple loves this game. I believe Broken Meeple loves this game. It's one that I am tempted by. The only reason I'm not currently pulling the plug on it myself is because Dead Reckoning, which it's just, to me, it's a better. Well, I can't say better because I haven't played this one. But Dead Reckoning really has me captured in terms of what it's doing, and so I'm intrigued by that. But that's going to be Edge of Darkness, and moving on from there, we have Legend Academy. Legend Academy, which is ending very, 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 very soon. So is Edge of Darkness, for that matter. Both of them ending in like a day. But we have Legend Academy, which is going to be $171,000, 2,560 backers, 3 days left, and a campaign mode. What did I miss? 8-game competitive campaign mode that will bring you through the adventure novels in the game. Cool. I didn't even realize this was a thing. The last update I was looking at was the update where they unlocked Sherlock Holmes. So if we go over here to the stretch goals, you can see a whole variety of options over here, but we got the free character expansion for Sherlock Holmes over here, which is a big deal because that adds a full other playable character to the game. That those 4 playable characters that you have in the base game, and there only are 4 playable characters, well, adding a 5th character gives you a ton more variability. But there are still potentially more characters. We'll talk about that in a second. But effectively, if you missed any of the content or coverage around this game, Legend Academy is going to be by Eldorado Games. And this is one where it's an adventure game with deck building, card crafting, and whatnot. And this is one it's not underperforming compared to what I thought it would do, but it's underperforming compared to what I would like it to do. This is a game where I don't think it visually pulls you in. I say that because I wasn't visually pulled in when I first saw or heard about this game. I played it because, hey, I'll try it. Why not? I've played many games that didn't visually pull me in, but this is one where the card crafting pulled me in, the deck building pulled me in, the visuals over here, I mean, it looks okay, but the art doesn't really do it for me that much, and the art on the character cards, some of the characters, sure, but like the overall package doesn't visually pull me in. But it's good. It's really, really good. If you like deck building, if you like comboing, if you like building out a character and upgrading and leveling, the kinds of things that I love. I mean, my testimonial for this game is, where is it? It's I have over here. We got some special here. I should note that's not me. We have, oh, cool, Sam Healy's up there. Nice. We have absolutely a ton of fun. It's exactly what I like in games. And I said that because I meant it. This is absolutely... I mean, Legends Academy is one that I'm really enjoying. Its powers and abilities left, right, and center, and a ton of ways to combo and build out your characters, which is why I really enjoy it. Now, I did address the fact that it's because of how much powers and abilities and all these things that are going on in the game, it's one that needs a lot of playtesting and balance. But one of the big problems with the game is if you're playing it 4-player, which I wouldn't personally. For me, 3-player is probably the sweet spot. 2-player doesn't have as much interaction. 4 players does slow it down a bit. I would play at 4 players. It's not my go-to game at 4. This is my go-to game at 3 players. But I don't know why I said go-to. This is a game that I am primarily trying to play at 3 players. Let's go with that as the words that I choose to use. But yeah, Legend Academy, it's one that I'm really enjoying. But for those who wanted to play 4 players, you're always going to have the same 4, which could, be a little bit less fun, which is why getting that Sherlock Holmes the Sherlock Holmes additional character is a big deal. And the price point, $69, is not bad at all. Although, speaking of price point, there are likely going to be 2 expansions added, 2 optional buys expansions added in the Pledge Manager. It's not going to be happening during the Kickstarter, but once it hits the Pledge Manager, you can expect to see, or probably expect to see, 2 optional buys added to be able to add 4 more characters. There's going to be 2 characters, and then 2 more characters. I don't remember offhand what they are. You can scroll through the updates to see them, but that would take your characters from 5 playable characters to 9 playable characters. Now, for me, that is an easy, no-brainer way to add to the playability, the variability of this experience. I've played through only the basic scenario. People have concerns about how many scenarios there are, which is reasonable, but I've played through only the intro scenario, which is 2 maps, double-sided, whatever it is, not double-sided, but 2 maps, and I've done that multiple times and haven't gotten even close to bored yet. To me, the main fun is not the adventure map, although I do want that variability, but rather the developing your character, to trying new strategies, picking another character and seeing the ways they can build out. And so having 9 playable characters, that is... I'm looking forward to this game. Has that been clear? But that's going to be Legend Academy, and this is your last chance to jump in it for right now. I mean, I know Eldorado Games has a history of, well, Eldorado was not a well-received game. It's actually their best-performing game to date, which is funny, but it's generally not been well-received by designer gamers or whatnot. It's a little more lightweight and not giving as much strategy as people wanted. I haven't played it, so I'm just passing on feedback I've generally picked up. But overall, Legend Academy, I don't know if it's their best game because I haven't played all their games, but it's good. It's really, really, really fun. But anyways, moving on, next up we have I guess I should say this right. Arydia? I think it's Arydia, right? Because I've been saying Arydia, and I think it's Arydia. I think Arydia, the Path We Dare Tread. Hopefully I got it right this time. It's not been going well for me between this and Zia, or Ja, or Xia. I don't know. I'm sorry, Cody. Can you give me names that are easier to say? I apologize for and you can't even blame it on like American arrogance because I'm Canadian, so maybe it's just, I don't know. Anyways, Arydia, the Path We Dare Tread. This is one where, and the campaign's doing incredibly well. We're at 1.1 million so far, 4 days to go. I'm guessing this closes in on 1.5. That might be ambitious. 1.4? 1.4 might be. Let's go with 1.4. 4 days? No, let's do 1.5. I'm going to be ambitious. Let's say this campaign closes in on 1.5. I have no idea. We'll find out soon enough, right? But anyways, we have 4 days to go, 8,234 backers. This is one that I was not backing. I was holding strong. I had self-control, and then I made the mistake of playing it, which was definitely a mistake because it's good. It's really, really good. Now, I have a review on the channel. You can check that out. I titled it, because I felt this way, the best RPG game I've played yet, and I meant it, because generally, to me, I appreciate story to a degree, but I like the mechanical interactions of a game more. And in Arydia, this is one of the few games where I was looking forward more to the exploration of the world than I was to the combat. I wanted to continuously explore and interact with characters and develop my character. And yes, you need the combat there as a driving mechanic, but it wasn't the main thing I was looking to, and that's why I called it the best RPG game I've played yet, at least for myself. It also, as someone who played a lot of video games, it was a throwback to the video game experience, the choices you can make, the ways you can interact with various PCs. It felt like Skyrim to a certain degree. It felt like it had that element of just wandering around the world, interacting, developing, and then yes, there will be combat at the same time. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it a tentative 5 out of 5. Tentative because it's first impressions. I need to experience the full game to really see where it goes. But based on the sliver that I did experience, I really think this is going to be such a solid game. It has been immensely enjoyable. I can't wait to see what happens with this world as it develops. But and the degree of classes and stretch goals and all these things they're expanding. You know, we have the Feelish character, Feelish, I don't know, but cat people, basically cat people. We have wooden tokens, we have token storages, we have a replica squill. That's going to be the little things that you're trying to collect as outcasts. We have the Fae, we have additional custom characters. I don't know much about that yet. We have the Slin, just tons of classes going on in this game, tons of just species or whatever. There's a whole lot of content for this game being unlocked, and you don't need all of it. The base game is going to give you plenty to explore, and if you want, and they made it pretty clear, wait till retail. There's not going to be much in terms of exclusivity or things that will make you feel like you're not diving into the experience. I'm really looking forward to this one. Again, I recommend checking out my review on it if you're on the fence. For myself, I really was planning on holding strong. I have plenty of campaign games, and I didn't need one more. But this one's something special. It feels different. It feels unique. It feels like it is a fully encompassed world. There are a lot of games that I love, and a lot of games that I would unback or get rid of in order to make time for this one. So we'll see how that goes. One thing I would say is, having played it both solo and with people, solo is fine, but you do lose a little bit of that RPG-esque experience because you're just reading cards as opposed to engaging in the characters. So it's still fine, it's still good, but this is one that I definitely prefer playing with more characters. I think 2 is probably the sweet spot. Once you get to 3 and 4, it's going to have more downtime and more sharing of actions. I think the sweet spot for this game is 2, but I'm not confident on that. I've actually played it at 1, 2, and 3. So I've actually played it at 1, 2, and 3. I think the sweet spot's 2, but I need more playtime with the game and more experience with the game. I have maybe 4 or 5 hours in this game. It's not a ton for a game of this stature or of this depth or whatever it is. As a complete side point, while we're on the subject, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel Room and Board. Room and Board, I found them while searching for Arydia content. I was just checking up after I did my video, and I found 5 reasons you shouldn't back Arydia. And that's great, because I just talked about all the reasons you potentially should, or I may have just hyped you up. Now, as a disclaimer and a warning, not disclaimer, but as a warning, before you watch his video, understand that he is very much hyped up for the game as well. So it's not like you're going to be walking to someone who's like, this game is the worst, but he does give 5 very good, very reasonable reasons as to why you should strongly consider not backing Arydia, even if you find yourself pulled in and tempted. So check that out, although I think he's backing it. I could be wrong. I think he's backing it. But yeah, Room and Board, I really recommend the channel. Start with that video and then browse around. He's a new channel, started around, 4 months ago, and growing fairly quickly, and I can see why. His content is excellent and has rapidly joined. It may look like I'm not subscribed, but that's because I'm logged in on incognito mode. I am absolutely subscribed and hopping around to just check out the various videos. A lot of fun. Highly recommend his channel. This will not be the last time I talk about Room and Board. Next up, we have Flamecraft. Flamecraft, which is going to be 1.361 million. This is one of those crazy things, but we have cute dragons outpacing Arydia, a game 7 years in development. That's an insane experience. They're totally different things, totally different target audiences, to be fair. 19,000 backers, 5 days to go. By the time you're watching this, there's like 2 days to go. Flamecraft is going to be from Cardboard Alchemy, and it's their 3rd Kickstarter, although 2nd game. They had a token tray Kickstarter, then they had Alchemy Mission, Catastrophe, and then they had Flamecraft. Flamecraft is going to be the game of, well, deluxified, beautiful little dragons. And by deluxified, I mean there's going to be miniatures. If you want, you can even buy plushies for these dragons. I mean, the cuteness level on this game is straight up there on 10, and there's an audience for the art and the world of Sandara Tang. This is truly an amazing job by Cardboard Alchemy. They've partnered with Lucky Duck for worldwide publishing. So, I mean, this is a game that you will almost certainly be able to find in retail if you're on the fence. Now, the flip side, or the downside of waiting till retail, is going to be you might miss out on dragon plushies. You might miss out on the deluxified version of the game with inserts and upgraded tokens and all of that. I would say it depends what you're looking for here. First of all, the game is lightweight. I've talked about it. I've reviewed it. There's a review on my channel. You can check that out. This game is a lighter game, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a question of the target audience. And in fact, given the fact that Sandara Tang has a grouping of fans around her art, around her world, I would argue for this particular genre or game, lighter is the way to go. A more accessible game that will pull people into the world of gaming is the way to go. For myself, this is family weight, a game I'd happily play with my family, not when I'm pulling out a game night, but happily pull out with my family with gorgeous art, easy gameplay, but still strategy at the same time. But overall, you know, if you're more pulled in by the art, I would say wait for retail or back the basic version of the game. Versus if you really want those deluxe extras, then you'll be paying twice as much to get the game, and if you want the plushies, 3 times as much to get the game, but you will walk away with a lot of cuteness. So you have to factor in what you're particularly looking for in this experience. I mean, we have over here, we have the basic pledge, we have the deluxe pledge, we have add-ons where you can buy more dragon miniatures, which are included in the deluxe, we have all the various game trays or coins or all that, and then somewhere here, if I can keep scrolling, we have the plushies. They're adorable. I'm sorry. We have a bread dragon plushie, and we have a meat plushie, and I'm really hoping they can unlock a full set of plushies. I can't imagine. I mean, honestly, Cardboard Alchemy, if or when you watch this video, why are you not just unlocking every single plushie? Because I mean, that is... If you have 5 plushies, 1 for each dragon, there are going to be people buying those plushies. You know that, okay? I know that. You know that. Just go ahead and do that, and then watch your campaign skyrocket to 1.7 million or 2 million. There are going to be people who want a full set. These are absolutely adorable, and I tend to think that plushies with games tend to be on the lower end in terms of quality. I can't comment on the quality here because I don't have them in my hands, but visually those look for good accessories for your game. And that's going to be that. And then we have Black Rose Wars Rebirth, which we'll be covering this on the next To Back or Not To Back, which will probably almost certainly be next Monday. But overall, just a brief update. I have a full Should You Back It video I've done on this already, so you can check that out if you want. 7,836 backers, 1.2 million. That's 3 campaigns we're talking about today that crossed the $1 million mark. Hey, Room and Board, I want your video. Room and Board, you have a thing you do with $1 million campaigns where you do the 5 reasons you shouldn't back it. So if we can get one of those for Black Rose Wars Rebirth, please do, because I want to watch it, because I like your content. But anyways, Black Rose Wars Rebirth, 1.2 million, 7,836 backers, Ludus Magnus Studios. We'll be talking about this more, like I said, next week, or you can watch the full Should You Back It. But I mean, they're just unlocking characters and miniatures and avatars. Avatars are going to be the thing to flesh out smaller player count games, so you can possibly play it more solo or 2 players or 3 players and have more of an experience on the board with these epic, avatar characters that I don't know much about the gameplay and the way they interact yet. I believe they're revealing those things slowly. They've also unlocked, here we got Odin, or Odino. We have Cassandra, we have Sphinx, we have Oracle Skull, we have Fenrir, Cormac, just tons of content slowly being unlocked. This is just insane. I mean, this is Ludus Magnus Studios. This is what they do. This is they put out amazing miniatures, some of the best miniatures in the business, in my opinion. I want to say that Mythic Games and Ludus Magnus Studios have 2 of the best miniature production companies when it comes to the gorgeous sculpts that they continuously put out. There are a lot of good miniature companies out there, but yes, I am putting these above Come On in terms of the consistency of how well their miniatures are. Even in games that from them I don't like, they just have amazing miniatures that you want to kind of keep. So yeah, that's gonna be Black Rose Wars. We'll talk about this more in next week's To Back or Not To Back. They recently unlocked they revealed some add-ons where you can buy a narrative aspect to the book. You can buy stories that take place in the world of Black Rose Wars, or as well as Irene the Wanderer over here with, as a separate miniature. Now, to be clear, this Irene the Wanderer comes inside this over here. It's a separate pledge for those who don't want the full narrative whatever, but don't buy both of those, unless you want 2 copies of Irene the Wanderer, in which case you do you. But that's going to be that, and one last thing before we talk about what's coming up next week. Like I said already, this is going to be a shorter Kickstarter update. I still don't know what I'm calling it. I'll figure it out later. We have Lax Rax, the board game self-insert for IKEA Kallax. Again, we'll talk about this next week. In fact, next week we'll be talking about another board game accessory at the same time. But for right now, this is going to be from the same people who brought you Box Throne. I'm 99% sure it's from the same people who brought you Box Throne. There we go. We created the Box Throne. I was right. We have 128,000, 1,200 backers. This is going to be Box Throne's attempt to take over your Kallax shelves, and I'm intrigued. I'm not sold, but I'm intrigued. But this is basically meant to be these little clips that work with your Kallax system to turn them into box thrones. Turns out that Box Throne, as successful as it has been so far, still has not managed to convince Kallax people to walk away from their Kallaxes. I mean, if you look around me over here in this basement, I have like way too many Kallax shelves. I'm not taking a new shelving system. I'd have to dismantle what I have. I'd have to what's the word for it? I'd have to commit to a new shelving system. There's just way too much work and cost involved in me walking away from Kallaxes. But to augment my calyxes, now that's a different conversation entirely. Now, it's not necessarily cheap to do this. This is something that, I haven't gone through all the pledges over there. Again, I'll be talking about next to back and not to back. But it's just, this is meant to make your calyx shells into box thrones in terms of, I love it. We have the hardships of traditional calyx storages. Vertical storage, oh no, things are falling apart and the boxes are easing. That doesn't happen if you actually properly condense your boxes. But I mean, I do on my calyxes go for a mix of vertical and horizontal. And then over here we have the horizontal. Oh no, I can't get the box out. Now again, this is typical, what's the word for it when you have those ads, the infomercials. This is typical infomercial stuff where it's like, oh no, I can't open my cup to get at the milk, whatever shall I do? And then jab the little puncher into the milk so you can get it. That, by the way, if you didn't understand, is a Friends reference from when Joey was doing an infomercial for milk thingy. It's really, really funny if you watch it, if you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I'm just a crazy guy talking about infomercial and milk jabbing thingies. But either way, all that said, while this is over dramatized in terms of the hardships of calyx storage, there's also a degree of truth to it at the same time. And so what you have to do, as someone who's potentially looking to spend money here, is decide how much those hardships are actually hardships for yourself, and whether it's worth the cost to potentially address and fix that storage solution. One thing I will say as a cautionary tale, or the hardships of Lax Rax, is the downside is while this might be great for getting things in place, you also want to factor in how much work it is to adjust your Lax Rax system to whenever you make changes to your collection. When you get rid of one game and add another game, for myself, it's pretty easy to just reconfigure my calyxes because I'm not locking it into fixed spacing. So factor that in when you go for this. I'm not against the system. I think it's a great system. Just factor in the hardships on both directions before you jump into this. And again, we'll talk about it next week in to back or not to back and all of that. And that's basically going to be it. Just lastly, as a quick heads up, so you're on your radar, coming up on August 31st, we have 3 campaigns that you should definitely be paying attention to, all 3 of them. I will be covering all of them. I'll have should you back it's on at least 2 of them. Probably just 2 of them, but at least 2 of them. We have ThreeTale, which is going to be coming up on August 31st. I have a review that just went up yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago. It depends when this video goes up. I have a review for ThreeTale that went up at some point in the past, and that it's basically a game I'm really, really enjoying. It's the short version of it. You should check that out. I was not sold on ThreeTale until I played it. And then I played it. I thought it'd be fine, but I played it and it was better than fine. That's going to be ThreeTale on August 31st. Then we have Tanares RPG, which I talked about this already on Saturday. I'll be talking it again on Monday. But Tanares RPG is going to be coming August 31st. And there's a lot of board game content here. Just to give you context here, they have the miniatures and cards kit. $179 worth of board game content is going to be here, so we can check out that. I'll be talking about this in the Should You Back It, which will probably go up day after launch. There's a lot of board game content, so if you're a board gamer and you're dismissing this as RPG, well then I want you to know 3 things. Number 1, there's a lot of board game content in this campaign. Number 2, the RPG can be played solo. So if you're more intrigued by that, that's a thing over here. Number 3, this dragon you're seeing is the early bird, 24-hour early bird pledge. Jump on in to get that dragon because you're going to want to get that dragon. So you can always cancel later, change your mind. But if you want the early bird pledge for that dragon, that's going to be free as opposed to $29. That's a cool dragon to be free. I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm guessing this hits 2 million day 1. What do you think? 2 million day 1? I think it's going to happen. We'll find out. And then lastly, well, also there's going to be a giveaway for it as well. They're running a crazy giveaway where they give you like basically everything for D&D 5e. They give you the whole pledge or something, and then they also give you 3 board games of your choice. So they're running a crazy giveaway. I'll have a link to that down below. And then lastly, we have Mythic Mischief also launching August 31st. I will almost certainly have a Should You Back It on this one as well, because I really, really like it. In fact, I will have review contents up. I'll have multiple. I already have an unboxing of this. I'm going to have a gameplay of it. I'm going to have a review of it. I'm going to have a whole lot of content around Mythic Mischief because it's really, 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 really good. And that is basically it. This was your Kickstarter roundup, sort of. Again, I don't know what to do. I might start doing this when I don't have a to back or not to back, more of a general overview as opposed to a deep dive, talking more about the games from the stance of my personal interest. Oh, look at this guy. They asked for the prototype back. I said no, 5 out of 5. I'm here somewhere as well. Let's see who else is there. We have Jeremy Howard. This is one of the biggest surprises of the year. This game is good. He's right, by the way, just to be very clear. And then we have over here, what else we have? We have more people on the page. I know Amhan is somewhere. We have the best abstract game I've played in years. Alex Radcliffe, Board Game Co. I called it an abstract game. Oh, that ruins that ruins something else I said in a later video. You'll see that later. But anyways, then we have, as well as that, I know we have Becca Scott on here. Who else do we have? I'm chomping at the bit to play all the factions. Becca Scott over here. Becca Scott, Good Time Society. And then anyone else yet? Nope, that looks like that's everything we have so far. But like I said, there's going to be a lot of content around this game. I'll give you a basic spoiler on this one. I absolutely gave this one a 5 out of 5. It's not even remotely a question to me. This is a really, really good game. You can watch my review for more information about it, but it's basically abstract adjacent with powers and abilities. You may have noticed this. I like powers and abilities. I've talked about it a few times, even in just this video alone. And this gives me the abstract tenseness that is really solid, really well done. Rivals Tak and Santorini as the best abstracts that I have in my collection, but with more depth, more gameplay, and more asymmetry in terms of what's going on in the game. So you can watch a review, or you can just skip the review, because I just told you that I really, really, really like this game. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.